let me go back to Hollywood. They're trying to move Hollywood to Austin, Texas, which scares the heck out of me, seeing I'm in Dallas, Texas. And I know you guys got away from Hollywood as soon as you could.
Yeah, we're trying to move it to Nashville.
Yeah.
We're actually trying to raise money specifically for that, to build a film and TV industry and theater industry outside of the, LA, New York bubble.
So how do you do that and not bring all of the crap that comes with it?
Well, in Tennessee, in their legislature, when they're working to set up kind of funding and rebates and stuff, they're putting things in there like it has to be certain type of content, so they wouldn't ever give rebates to
you have to but
pornography or anything that puts down.
But ultimately, you have to trust the content creators, Glenn, which is what it comes down to. Which is why we're hoping people would back us, given the history that we have and the kinds of projects that we've already produced. So again, it's tricky, but we've heard that from politicians. Oh, we don't want
Hollywood values,
and I'm not even sure what Hollywood values are, because that's kind of an oxymoron. Oops, sorry, all my friends in LA. So it's a tricky one, but ultimately you have to. I think the content creators have to prove themselves. Really, there's an enormous underserved audience in the United States.
Huge.
Actually, globally, I would suggest globally there are stats available for that that show that people want content. They want good entertainment, and it's not that you have to make just Billy Graham movies. No disrespect to Billy Graham, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do.
You don't have to make sentimental nonsense. You can still produce things with excellence and have great stories that don't shy away from the reality of the human condition. But people want to see hope. They want to see redemption. They want to see forgiveness. These themes that have been so absent for so long. And, I do have to say this, and this probably will get me some enemies, but if
you don't have to say it, but go ahead.
I don't have to say it, of course. Maybe I should shut up right now. Hello, ladies.
Right before we take that show out to pitch.
Now you've thrown me. Now I can...
Sorry. That was my cunning plan.
It was a brilliant plan because it worked. Maybe I shouldn't say anything.
But we found that the kind of people who are attracted to Nashville, who are moving to Tennessee, share those values, and they're leaving Hollywood or New York or Chicago because they have felt not at home for so many years.
Sure.
and feel that their worldview and there's the stories they want to tell aren't being told, or Hollywood doesn't want to tell them. Although it's weird, because I think there's a certain bottom line also to Hollywood. They need to make money, and I think they would like to tap into this space, and they kind of don't know how. So I feel like we're seeing them kind of, when you see Angel Studios or Andy Irwin at Kingdom Story, you see John Irwin has the Wonder Project now, and it's out there and it's coming.
We're trying to do the same thing. Look, in 2008, we made a movie called Amazing Grace. About the abolition of slavery in the British Empire.
So good.
And we, in a sense, you could say that we were ahead of our curve, but what we didn't have was the financial backing to really continue that in any significant way. I think now the environment is a little different, and there's an economic shift going on, there's also a cultural shift going on, and I think people are more receptive, both in the investment community and in the marketplace, for content that's more like that, shall we say, in the most general sense.
It's really stunned me how, for the longest time, Christians did not know how to make movies, because all they cared about was the message. And just got to get the message. And you're like, I can't bring my friends to this. I want to, and I can't bring my friends to this because they're going to just be beaten over the head with the message. And Hollywood had it right. Now, if you look at Snow White, all they care about is message. We've switched places. Interesting.
That's interesting. observation.
You even look at House of David, which I think is Irwin.
That is just John Irwin at Wonder Project.
Yeah. And
Amazon.
I know that's about the Bible, but it's not pounding in your face. It's a great story, just a great story.
Yes.
And it's so weird
Right.
how we've just switched places. I wonder how long it's going to be before they wake up and go, oh, they don't want message movies.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm just about to do a little bit on The Chosen, which I'm actually really looking forward to. I think Hollywood Hollywood is all about money. Somebody once joked to us that Hitler could have showed up in Hollywood if he had a great script under his arm. They would have said, yeah, sorry about that whole Holocaust thing, Adolf. We want to make your movie because we think it's going to make us a lot of money. And that's the harshest way of looking at it. In the same way, they're looking at this space going, well, so many of our movies are tanking because of the message we keep sending out. So how do we, they don't really know who this audience is. They don't know how to speak to them. We do. So let's use your show as a plug to anybody out there with a couple of dollars in the bank.
But I also think that it used to be. So my favorite movie of all time, Dave Sticker, hearing me say this, is On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, Eva Marie Saint, and Carl Malden plays the priest at this mob-run, dock in New York, and Marlon Brando's brother is a mobster, and Marlon Brando's on the take, and he has to make a decision as to whether he's going to rat out on his brother and turn in the mob. And it's this big moral decision. And Carl Malden, as the priest, has this incredible monologue. I don't know, you probably saw it many years ago, but if you haven't watched it or haven't seen it in a long time, watch it again. This was an Oscar-winning Hollywood movie. Right. To me, the greatest movie ever made. Greatest script, music, acting, directing, everything. And it has Carl Malden doing a whole thing about Christ being here on the docks and Christ seeing what's happening to you. And how would he, who spoke up against every evil, feel about your silence? It's this beautiful monologue. And that wasn't considered a faith-based film. No. It was just a great story about a moral dilemma. And God was just a natural part of that, because it used to be in our country, we all shared certain foundational beliefs about God, about history, about our country. And that's kind of been blowing up for so many years through universities. And so people have a really distorted view of this country. They don't have, you can criticize America. There's lots of things. We don't agree. A lot of room for improvement, but I've traveled with World Vision to a lot of different countries, and to say this country is, a terrible place. It's ridiculous.